I consider myself a professional looker of men or naked men or their bodies. Yes, I do. Sorry, that's part of scouting.
A professional looker.
Yes.
You need a business card with that.
Professional naked body scouter, Chris Simms on the Unbuttoned podcast.
The continuing embarrassment of listening to myself, but I do it to myself, so that's the way it is. I haven't seen you naked yet. Maybe one day if I'm lucky. I don't know.
McHugh will play your cards.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Stay tuned, podcast viewers.
What's up, everybody? Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Got my man Liam McHugh here today. Thanks for running the show here, which you'll do in a second. I'm still trying to be like you and open up podcasts and do that. I'm getting better. I actually feel more comfortable doing it.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. Don't bullshit me.
Listen. Let me know when you don't need me to come in.
No, but I actually used to get the most nervous about the podcast, just about that part.
Yeah?
Yes, I would really be going like, oh, I hope I don't open it up horrible, and I hope I can close this thing, because I've never thought about that.
What makes you the most nervous about it now?
Actually, I feel like I'm at ease now. I've made the switch NBC full time to where I feel pretty comfortable coming into this right now.
Well, you see.
Now, if we can just get a table that fits me here, that I don't have to wear a computer at my knees, I think everything would be perfect.
Well, you're dropping some real subtle hints about how you want some changes.
Just real
every single time I'm on here.
Yes.
Can I start just with something? Because I know it's something that you love. And do you want more unwritten rules in football, like baseball has? You must, right? Because you love that, right? You love the unwritten rules.
So yeah, Liam has heard me a little bit. I was going crazy about baseball, right? I had to hit that off. All right, there's a baseball player right now, Tim Anderson, an African American guy from Alabama, who they drafted with the 17th pick a few years back. If anybody pays attention to baseball here as of late, a fight started a few weeks ago because he flipped the bat after he hit a big home run and looked at his own dugout and yelled with excitement. How dare he get excited for hitting a ball 400 feet? That's just ludicrous. And of course, there was backlash in baseball. A fight brewed after that because, of course, he was an unwritten rule. You don't flip the bat or you don't show emotion after a home run. And he does that. And, of course, the next time he's up at bat, what happens? They throw a ball at his head because that's more sane than flipping a bat. I mean, let's throw something 100 miles per hour at a person. That's a hard object. That somehow is not an unwritten rule. I don't understand it. So it bothers me. I love baseball. I guess that's my first thing. I really do. I want my little boy, he plays baseball. I want to see the sport get good. And I read articles this morning about baseball's attendance is really suffering and they're struggling like this. And I want to say, yeah, you know why it's struggling? Because you got a bunch of boring, unwritten rules and a bunch of boring players to go with it. You need guys like Tim Anderson that show hey, it's fun to play baseball. You don't have to always be serious. And, yeah, they need to change that. It's a sport that's getting killed in the urban markets. Nobody plays baseball in inner city anymore.
It's a slow, boring game a lot of the times. It's background music.
Yeah.
If you're at home, it's something you could do the crossword puzzle if you were actually at a game. It's that type of sport. So
it is.
Speed it up. Make it a little more fun. Here's the deal. If you don't, we talked about this, it's every sport.
Right.
If you don't like celebrations, you don't have to celebrate.
Yeah.
If you don't want the other team to celebrate.
Celebrations did for football.
Exactly. Well, you don't, but that's
right
the thing.
there.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to.
And if you don't want the other person to celebrate, don't give up a home run.
Yeah. But again, if you want kids to buy your jerseys like the rates that they're buying Odell Beckham Jr. jerseys out in the public, then you got to have some guys that have personality that, kind of bring in the young fan, the young crowd, the millennial kid who likes to see a little exuberance and excitement at times. Yes, that's what that has to be done. That's what I don't get. I hate the unwritten rule bullcrap. Okay. You know what I love about baseball players too? It's an unwritten rule until they feel uncomfortable with it, then they'll change the rule, right? It used to be you have to throw 4 pitches to get the 4 balls to automatically walk a guy. It became a little pressurized.
Yeah.
And pitchers would miss the mark, and sometimes you get a few errant throws, every few weeks when doing that. It get you into pressure. Oh, we'll change that rule. But when it comes to this stuff,
and they wrote that new rule down too.
I know they wrote it down. Right.
Yeah.
That's
are there unwritten rules in football? Are there any
only unwritten rules in
that
football
you would get rid of that you would?
No, nothing that I get rid of. The only unwritten rules in football are basically don't get involved in another man's contract dispute. You don't get involved in another man's money situation.
Yeah.
Okay, when it's not your situation. Don't talk about anybody's mama and don't talk about anybody's wife. It really ends about right there. After that, there's no more rules. It's you better play hard. We don't give a damn what you do. If you want to celebrate and put your head, between your crotch, whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as you're getting tackles or touchdowns or throwing.
They might as well write down a few of those rules.
Write down.
There's a couple of those. Oh,
yeah,
those are.
Yeah,
really. Yeah,
yes.
They in all walks of life, I think those are probably pretty good rules to live by.
Pretty good rules, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to get you riled up
Thank you.
here.
You got it off my chest.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Do you feel better?
That. I do feel better.
All right.
I think I got it all off.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. If it strikes you again and you want to rant and rave, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I'm here to listen to you. We got a few things coming up.
Yeah, cool.
You spoke to AJ Green.
Yep.
And we're going to hear that in a little bit.
Yep.
You want to tease something? You want to tell us one little, give us a little nugget.
Well, I mean, the cool thing, I think we should have to see a little bit of AJ's personality. AJ is kind of a pretty straightforward, straight-laced guy who, for a receiver where you get a lot of the diva talk, right, at wide receiver, that's what I respect about AJ Green. He's never been like that. It's never, I want more money, I need more catches, what are we doing on offense? So I like that, and we had a few little chuckles along the way. So hopefully the people will get to know the guy a little bit more because, that's one thing I always take great pride in is getting some of these guys who aren't known to get them out there in the public and get the public to know a little bit who they are, not just a number and a face mask.
Cool. So we'll learn a little bit about AJ Green later on. We'll talk about next year's draft, the odds on favorites to go number one, who we like.
Right.
Who we think's maybe just a good value if you're looking at those odds. But before that, in the NFL right now, tomorrow, Friday, is the deadline for teams to pick up fifth-year options on players who were drafted in the 2016 draft.
Right.
And we're going to take a look at guys who went top 10, top 15, and a couple guys right now we know already are not going to have that option picked up.
That's right.
And a few guys already have had it picked up. As we take a look at the top 10 right now, we just remind people at home that Jared Goff obviously was number one overall pick. Then it was Carson Wentz, followed by Joey Bosa. Zeke, Jalen Ramsay, Ronnie Stanley out of Notre Dame went to Baltimore, DeForest Buckner, and then Jack Conklin, we know, Tennessee, they did not pick up that option. And number 9 is Leonard Floyd at Chicago. And then Eli Apple, who clearly is no longer with the New York Giants.
No, that's right. And then, so they're no longer with the New York Giants on the New Orleans Saints. They have come out and said that they are not going to exercise the fifth-year option rights on Eli Apple as well. Hey, Eli Apple, if you look back at the draft, was one of the most controversial picks of the draft. I don't think anybody really at the time thought he was worth the number 10 pick. Certainly was a first-round cornerback in that conversation. But I think a lot of people thought he would be somewhere in the end of the first round. So that ruffled, I remember, some Giants fans' feathers up here in that in this area at the time.
The funny thing is, Giants fans don't even care now.
No, they could care less.
They got bigger issues right now with the draft.
You're exactly right.
Way, way bigger issues. But if we go back right now and you have an opportunity to redraft, reposition some of these guys, make some moves, let's start right at the top.
Yeah.
Right at the top, Rams, Jared Goff, quarterback. Knowing what you know now, and you have a Rams coming off a Super Bowl, Jared Goff in there, quarterback. Would Goff still be that guy, considering everything it took just to get there?
Yeah, the quarterback conversation is the interesting thing of part of this draft. Like Jared Goff, I don't think his talent matches up with the number 1 pick in the draft. That's what I would say right off the bat. Looking at it now, looking at it then, I didn't think he was the number 1 pick of the draft, to be totally honest with you. But looking at it now, I think that fact has been justified a little bit. Now, some people are going to go, well, look, they've been successful, and they went to the playoffs, they went to the Super Bowl, and I understand that, and that's really good. But they didn't do that because of Jared Goff. He was certainly an important piece and helped it out. But I don't think he's the type of talent where I look at as a number 1 pick, a guy that needs to be able to carry the team at times. You got to be able to carry the team with your physical ability.
You want generational guy.
You want a generational guy.
It's not a first-round pick. It's the number 1 overall
exactly
pick.
Right. It's Peyton Manning. It's Baker Mayfield, right? It's those kind of guys where you look at.
Carson Wentz more that guy?
To me, it was. That was where I was going to go with it. Carson Wentz, now, we're sitting here. He's been injured in the last 2 years, so that's the concern. But I do think, I'd always try to remind everybody. You go back to the 2017 season, the year the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. I mean, we were in week 14, and Carson Wentz was going to be slam dunk the MVP pick that year. And I brought this up a few times during the week because this conversation's come up. The game he got hurt, the Rams-Eagles game where he tears his ACL. I mean, halftime show on Fox that day literally started off with Howie Long going, I'm watching John Elway reincarnated here with Carson Wentz. That was the praise he was getting. So, yes, if you gave me my conversation there, Carson Wentz would be the number one guy off the board. We got another quarterback.
Everything we know now.
Yeah.
But can I just
let me
go
ahead.
This
Please
at
do.
you.
Please.
You know how this started.
Right.
And it started poorly.
Right.
Because not only did you not love the pick,
yes,
but then you couldn't have liked how it actually got underway with the Rams. But the fact that it was so bad leads you to what? McVay.
Yes, right.
Okay?
You're right.
So you have to incorporate that. So if Wentz is there and they're better, where are we with the Rams?
Maybe you're saying maybe Wentz is good enough to save Jeff Fisher's job, and maybe they keep the same offensive coordinator. You're right. That's the what-if factor of all of this, certainly, that could have changed the timeline.
Just for me, just the fact that you get McVay because of how bad it went at the beginning, I think it's
worth it right there.
I do. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, okay. I understand that logic because McVay he's special. He's worth a first-round pick in himself. I mean, he is. He is that. I'll say this much. You rattled off the top 10 picks.
Yeah.
Where I would start right away is I have no problem with any of the top 7 guys. I mean,
fine.
To all of them.
Up to DeForest Buckner, sure.
Exactly right. I can look at all 7. Goff, Wentz, Bosa, Elliott, Ramsey, Stanley, Buckner, and I go, they were top 10 picks. They justified it. They won. Now, maybe Stanley didn't deserve to be number 6. Whatever it is. But either way, they were top 10 guys.
Brian Stanley's going to be your left tackle for
Exactly, for a decade.
Easy.
Exactly right. He is a franchise left tackle and a killer that way. DeForest Buckner's awesome. I mean, he's going to get a huge contract here within the next year or two. Jalen Ramsay, Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa, they are Hall of Fame type talents. So, hey, you could sit here and we could go back and redraft it and go, well, any of those 3, Bosa, Elliott, Ramsey, we could justify the Rams taking him at number 1 here, with all this, in the past.
The funny thing about Jack Conklin is, if you're a year into this, after being drafted, Jack Conklin is a better pick than Jared Goff.
Right. The hype was real. He played real that year. He was.
The injuries have been the issue.
Yeah, I think so. The injuries are the issue. I think that also maybe a hair lack of athleticism at the position that they would like maybe to be able to protect against a really good edge pass rushers. Maybe that's a little less than adequate, but I do think at the end of the day, it is the injuries. When you miss a year because of ACL. Last year, he missed what? Was it 8, 9 games?
Yeah,
concussion. Knee injury and a concussion.
Yeah.
So I think those things, added to the fact that the play's been just a little less than, all said, you know what, we're not going to pay this guy, premier market money at the tackle position, and they don't want to be stuck with that option on their hands, and so they're not going to do it. Now, maybe Conklin plays really good this year, and then they find a way to sign him to a long-term deal and go, okay, the injury bug, we feel better about that. You played good. Things are looking on the up and up, and maybe he does get paid that way.
Now, the big thing is you go outside of the top 10. In fact, you go outside of the first round, and you start wondering about guys that you would move up and where you would move them and how high you would move them. And the biggest question is a quarterback.
Yeah.
Because where would you put Dak Prescott? If you redrafted this at this point, how high does Dak Prescott go?
Dak Prescott, I think realistically should have been a top 15 pick if we were to sit here and just reevaluate again. Now, it's all about, I didn't go back and look at, what was their needs back in 2016.
That's
But I think at a very base level, what we're talking about with Dak Prescott, a guy that's been to the playoffs twice, right? Won one playoff game. 1 year they were, 13-3 and lost to Green Bay as a number 2 seed in the playoffs. Hey, is he perfect? Does he have everything? Does he have an Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes arm? No, okay. But he's big, he's strong, he's very athletic. He has a good arm. He's a great leader. He says all the right things on and off the field. And to me, yes, he's franchise quarterback material.
Starting quarterback, you say what? Fringe top 10?
Yeah, exactly. I would think given on the year, Dak Prescott's that guy.
That's his seal.
10, Yes, exactly right. I mean, anywhere 8 to 15, I think is exactly where he is. I would like to see him improve on his passing a little bit. I'd also like to see that offense improve around him to make things a little easier at times too, if I were to defend Dak Prescott. So, hey, Dak Prescott, I would imagine, is going to get paid pretty big money here soon, somewhere between $25 and $30 million a year. I don't think he deserves to be Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, but I think somewhere between 25 and 30. I look at Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo and certainly go, Dak Prescott deserves to be paid more than them, and they're around 27 to 28 million.
Heck, when they were struggling last year, basically telling us that they were still going to pay this
exactly
guy. So,
right. I mean, the grass isn't always greener. You got a franchise quarterback. You can't sit there and be going, well, we might be able to do better. Well, yeah, you might be able to do better, but you might also draft a Paxton Lynch and be worse off. You don't know. So, sometimes you just got to go with what you have and be happy about the positives that the guy at that position brings to you. But the draft really, you kind of hit it a little, gets really interesting from like 10 to 31. I mean, there is so many guys in that little pocket of 10 to 31 in the 2016 draft that do not belong there.
No, it was so solid for that top 10. But then after that, obviously, listen, there are questions about Carl Joseph just in Oakland. Yep. Although I think they're obviously much more significant, much bigger questions about guys like Corey Coleman.
Yes, Corey Coleman, who's on his fourth team. Shaq Lawson is one of those guys at pick 19 who the fifth-year option is not going to be picked up. Doesn't look like Darren Lee of the New York Jets. He's another guy, fifth-year option. Don't think it's going to be picked up. Not with the fact that they have an Avery Williamson and a C.J. Mosley already playing that position. Would be shocked there. Then you talk about wide receivers in the first round, right? Will Fuller, who's been good but can't stay healthy. And then Josh Jackson, Laquan Treadwell have certainly proved that they were not first-round picks.
No doubt.
That would be an issue.
Listen, I get the allure, obviously, with Corey Coleman and Will Fuller, which was a speed factor.
I get it too.
And you're blown away by that. But I would also say, when you look and you see a second-round pick in Michael Thomas.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Michael Thomas, second-round pick at receiver. Sterling Shepard, a second-round pick at receiver. Tyler Boyd from the Cincinnati Bengals, a second-round pick. All of those guys we just mentioned are better than the 3 first-round picks. So, you go right away, and I go, okay, those guys deserve to be in the first-round discussion. I got another group of guys where I could go, okay, these guys deserve to be in the top 15, hands down. And what's amazing here is a lot of these guys are second-round picks, which is what I love. And, hey, the success rates prove that second-rounders actually have more successful careers than first-rounders. The success rate is greater with them right now. And you look at the second round and you go, damn, okay, Miles Jack, right?
Yep.
Miles Jack is one of the best middle linebackers in football for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There was knee concerns at the time.
Yep.
He also played a lot of running back in college.
He was, that's a lot of miles.
There's a lot of miles. People weren't sure what to do. They weren't sure if the knee was going to hold up. I understand that a little, but either way, if you had a redraft now, you go, oh, he's a top 10 pick. I mean, he's every bit as good as a Devin White was coming out of LSU this year, who was a number 5 pick. So that one jumps out to me. I'll tell you a guy that at the end of the first round that really jumps out to me, William Jackson from the Cincinnati Bengals. Liam, I'm telling you, this guy is going to break the bank here in the next year or two as one of the top paid corners in football. He's one of the best man-to-man guys in the sport. Nobody knows about him because Cincinnati hasn't been very good the last few years, but he is truly awesome to where I think if we looked at that guy, I'd go, oh, there's a guy that deserves to be in the top 15. Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Certainly.
We were there in Kansas City this year. We saw what he did in the playoff game. He was disruptive, pushing the pocket, batting balls.
Well, and it's funny, too, because we talked about that defense, that defensive line and the rush ends and bigger names on that defense, but Chris Jones was becoming the bigger name, and with good reason. I mean, you're paying attention, you're watching, and he's one of these guys that you mentioned. First of all, he did have the stats.
He did have the stats.
But if he didn't have the stats, he'd have the Chris Simms.
He'd have the playoff stat, too.
100%. Yeah, he's that guy.
And in the game we watched, I don't think he had any stats the game we watched, but he had a few plays where he pushed his guy back into Andrew Luck's face and swatted a ball or caused an inaccurate throw where I said, Chris Jones made the play there. Yep. That was him, even though nothing goes on the stat sheet for him. Chris Jones, other than Aaron Donald, is the best interior pass rushing D lineman in the sport. He's up there in the conversation for best defensive tackles in the sport, up there with the Fletcher Cox of the world and Aaron Donald, like I said. So you look at that and go, damn, he should have been picked in the top 15.
But that's incredible. So you start talking about second-round guys, right? Like you were mentioning. You have Chris Jones. You have Miles Jack.
Right.
You get Michael Thomas.
Yep.
You Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard deserves to be in the...
Derrick Henry's interesting.
No doubt about it.
Considering how things played out last year. And then the boldest pick of the second round that year, and I'm not saying he could be a first rounder because, listen, we all know how it went down at the end of his college career. But that Jalen Smith pick in the second round was a bold pick.
Bold move.
Considering what was going on with him physically and the severity of the injury that he was dealing with. But I can tell you, we cover Notre Dame. We're there. I remember watching him walk off the practice field It was before his freshman year. Guys have their pads off. It's hot. They take their shirts off. And I saw this guy, and everyone's like, wow. I was like, who is that guy? People thought he was a senior because he was chiseled.
Yes.
Unbelievable. I mean, he's a rare physical specimen, and I think Dallas Cowboys saw if there's anyone that can come back for this.
Yeah.
And if he can come back and just be 85% of the guy he was.
Yeah.
And wow, what a gamble. And
it's
the payoff is there.
You're right. No, and I mean, to your point.
I mean, I know you're a looker of men's
I am,
bodies.
trust
I believe
me.
that's how we started this. I felt like
he is at the top of the list. Liam, no joke. If he doesn't get hurt that year, he is going to be a top 5 pick. It was one of the best linebacker films I have watched since I've been evaluating. It was truly amazing.
I mean, they didn't even get the most out of him back then.
No,
Defense
they did
had
not.
Its problems,
they did not.
Yeah,
but I got to give Dallas Cowboys a lot of credit for picking him there because there was risk. And it really paid off, especially this last year. Because, I mean, Jalen Smith was phenomenal this year, so they're getting their monies back there. Hey, and while we're on teams in general, you want to talk about a team that killed the 2016 draft? The Dallas Cowboys are in that.
Yeah.
Zeke at number 4.
Yeah.
Jalen Smith to start the 2nd round. Malik Collins, who's a starting defensive tackle for them, out of Nebraska in the 3rd round. You get Dak Prescott in the 4th. And they got their nickel corner, Anthony Brown, in the 6th round that year. So Jerry Jones, the Jones family, they killed that draft. So that definitely jumped out to me. Other names that were in the 2nd round that deserve to be first-round material, top 15, top 20 picks. Xavier Howard, corner for the Miami Dolphins, just like William Jackson, I just told you. Those 2 guys are, to me, on the fringe of being top 5 corners in football right now, right? If I had to name the 5 best corners in the sport right now off my head, I'd go Ramsey, A.J. Bouye, Stephon Gilmore. I would go Patrick Peterson, and then it would be probably a William Jackson, Xavier Howard type conversation there. That's, to me, where they are. They're not being paid big money yet because they're still, on the 2016 contracts and all that. But I think that is coming. So they jumped out to me. Deion Jones, the Atlanta Falcons. Talk about he's a 2nd-round pick. He deserves to be a first-rounder, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's take the quarterbacks out.
Okay.
Okay, let's take Goff, Wentz off the board. If you had to pick the number 1 player, non-quarterback, in this draft, knowing what we know now, your number 1 pick, regardless of need, regardless of team, just the best player, who would you take?
It's between 3 guys, and it's actually the 3 guys towards the top of the draft anyways. It's between Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, and Jalen Ramsay. I would probably go Joey Bosa. I think that would be the guy. Zeke, I love Ezekiel Elliott. I loved him then. I love him now. Jalen Ramsey's one of my favorite players in football. I mean, if I could come back and be anybody in the NFL, it might be Jalen Ramsey, just to be able to run and talk the way he does. Such a specimen. But, those are the 3 guys I think I look at more than anybody to go, ooh, they deserve to be in that conversation. But yeah, Bosa's special. I mean, there's no doubt. Great pass rusher, great against the run. I mean, really can do everything. So I guess I would go with him number 1. I'd probably go him or Ramsey number 1, because at running back position, I'd have a hard time picking one no matter what. And, hey, another interesting wrinkle about that draft is the running back position.
Yeah.
There was the number 1 rushers in football in 2016. 1 and 2 were both picked in this draft. One was Ezekiel Elliott, pick number 4. And then you had Jordan Howard, pick 150,
That's right.
was 2nd in the NFL in rushing that year. So that, to me, was where you get in the conversation where some people don't believe in why would I take a cornerback or a running back in the top 5 when you have guys like Jordan Howard who are picked in round 5 or late 4, whatever that number is, and he still is successful.
But that's the interesting thing, right? Because it is the position that people believe. If you have a talented player, he can come in right away. He could be that guy. And you mentioned some corners there, and the best corners in the game, they're guys who have developed.
Yes.
All right? I mean, they're not first, second-year guys.
Right.
I mean, you're developing. You're 5 years. You're into that year. If you're a 2016 draft pick, you're now at that point where you're approaching top 5 territory.
Right, yes.
You do have to learn it. There's a lot of athleticism that goes into it, but you really do have to learn.
You do. You take a step from being just this raw athlete to a guy that's awesome in all areas of the game, understands offense and defensive schemes. I would really say for corners, when you get to year 3, 4, 5, that's really the prime of their career because they're still able to, maximize their top end speed because they're in their mid-20s and all those type of things. And now you're in year 3, 4, 5 where you've been in the NFL, you're comfortable, your knowledge is at a different level, and that's where you can become truly a special football player.
And then it's how long can you hang on to that
at
that point?
So, well, we got to throw some love at just a few other guys that I think were in the conversation. You said Derrick Henry, good job by you. He definitely should have been a first-rounder. Jaron Reed, nose tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. He should have been a guy, look at it right now, that should have been drafted in the first round. I go Sean Davis, a safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'd say you could throw him in that conversation. And even Kevin Byard, the safety for the Tennessee Titans. He would be another guy I'd look at and go, wow, yeah.
Well, especially when you look at how many safeties actually did go in the top 20, right?
And you mentioned one already that was a bust in Oakland
in Carl Joseph.
And Carl Joseph. And you go, well, no, I would definitely rather have Kevin Byard than Carl Joseph at this point. Yannick Ngakoue in the third round. You want to talk about why pass rushers are at a premium in the draft? Well, yeah, because here's the 2016 draft, and there was only 2 good pass rushers in the whole damn draft. It was Bosa and Yannick Ngakoue. Yep. I looked at every pick of the whole 2016 draft and didn't find one other guy where I said, oh, yeah, he's legit coming off the edge. There were some guys that are starters or play or whatever else, but not in that type of class. So that is always interesting to me. But you look back, the Jaguars, we talked about them. The Cowboys killed it in the draft. The Atlanta Falcons got Keanu Neal.
Yeah.
He was in the first-round pick and certainly worthy of where he got picked. Really should have been higher.
Yeah, he's at 17.
Right. We talked about Deion Jones in the second round. They got Austin Hooper at tight end later on in the draft, who has been a Pro Bowler at the tight end position. And they got Devondre Campbell, who's another starting linebacker for them. So they killed it in the draft that year, too, along with the Saints, Dolphins, and Lions. I got to give them shout-outs. It's the teams that kind of stood out above the rest.
But still, like you mentioned, what Dallas did in that draft is
amazing.
Is remarkable.
Well, what you really start to correlate is you look at teams and go, oh, the teams that have kind of been good the last few years have had pretty good drafts for the most part.
But then the question is, if it's that good, then why aren't they winning?
Well, yes. Why are they not winning?
I mean, granted, they had some success at certainly a high level of it a couple of years ago, but you've got to get in the playoffs and be a little bit more successful if you've been that good in the draft.
Yes.
All right, so that's looking back at 2016. We're going to look ahead, though, 2020 draft. I know you got a question. People hitting you up on social media. Is this you on Twitter, by the way? Are you tweeting now?
Well, no. I'm not physically putting my thumbs to my iPhone to actually send out the tweet.
God forbid that you would.
No, I need a buffer. It's a better way this way when Matt Casey controls it because I don't trust myself. I can be a little emotional at times. I do have a temper. I'm famous for that in my own family. So I'm better off to have a buffer because I send him things sometimes and he's like, I'm not comfortable with that tweet. And I go, okay, well, that's great. I'm glad we have this kind of
I want those. I want the unfiltered ones.
Yeah, well, I might not be working with you anymore.
I'm quite certain the company doesn't want them. But you got hit up on social media with, I know you haven't gone in depth, but based on TV, any crossover film from this year's draft, okay, he basically wants to know Trevor Lawrence, Jake Fromm, Justin Herbert, how would they rank in this group, so this past group that came out in this draft? If you had quarterbacks looking forward, obviously Lawrence is 2 years down the line. But, But how, if they were all eligible, or Herbert was and came out, how would they have ranked?
Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, this is the first thing I would say. Justin Herbert, everything, and again, it was TV scouting last year, right? I didn't have to watch any film, but I think Justin Herbert, just from everything I saw on TV, would have been the first quarterback off the board this year. That would have been the guy I looked at. I think I would have ranked him ahead of Kyler Murray. Yeah, if you had we wanted me to stack him up versus this year's type of guys.
Okay, so if just so I can throw this out there.
Please do.
If Justin Herbert came out and that goes down and Arizona takes Justin Herbert.
Right.
Is Kyler Murray on Oakland?
I guess.
Is Kyler Murray with John Gruden at that point?
Hey.
Daniel Jones is still with the Giants because he was the guy they wanted.
They loved him.
We'll find out about insanity 3 years down the line.
I am going to find this answer out eventually, okay? The really interesting thing about Kyler Murray at 1 this year, there was a lot of teams I know that did not have him as the number 1 quarterback. So it was a little bit of beauty in the eye of the beholder. Now, I would bet you the Oakland Raiders, like you said with John Gruden, definitely did.
Yeah.
But I think there was boards that were a little bit all over the place. And certainly his size scared some teams and some people.
Would Arizona, would Arizona have taken Murray over Justin Herbert?
I think they would. I think a Kingsbury would have taken Murray no matter what.
Okay.
I do. I think if it's Kingsbury there,
all right, so that actually would have happened. Okay.
Yes, I think that still actually would have happened.
Okay.
But just from everything I saw, and I got to see Justin Herbert in a few games. One, because, of course, you and I covered Notre Dame, and they played Stanford, who we got to see play against Oregon. I remember watching them on film then, and I caught a few games on TV through the year where, hey, the guy's a big guy. He's a very special athlete. He has a big-time arm. To me, Liam, that is the guy that I would say is the number one pick. I know there was teams that were very disappointed this year that he did not come out. The Giants, for one, from everything I know, the Giants were hot on Justin Herbert, had somebody at almost every one of his games this past year. He was one of the guys they had their real eye on.
He was the guy who could have taken them to the promised land?
He could have been the guy that they could have got at number 6 or maybe make a move, whatever it may be. But he is the guy, for me, that jumps out above the rest.
Lawrence
is right. I would like to see another year.
Sure.
Lawrence is on pace to be the first pick of the, 2021 draft? Certainly is. Looks like he's got it all. I mean, great athlete, awesome demeanor, effortless thrower, can make any throw you want. I mean, come on. The guy went in on Clemson. It was like, am I watching a freshman here? Or are we watching
a team that had a quarterback?
Right. Or are we watching a guy that's been around for 4 years and seems unfazed by no matter who he plays? And that's the impressive part about Lawrence. So, yeah, Lawrence, as far as stacked up against this class, it's so hard because he's still young and not a finished product. I think his ceiling, though, is pretty great. Yeah. I do. It might be higher than guys like Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock.
All right. So as we go to the 2020 draft, the odds released for the potential top overall pick and the clear odds-on favorite, Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama, 1-3 odds to be the top overall pick in the NFL draft. After that, it's Jake Fromm out of Georgia, Herbert, who we talked about, out of Oregon, and then you start getting into position players. Chase Young, Jerry Jeudy, you go back to Alabama. But here's the thing. First off, you look at the last two drafts, and the two guys who went number one overall, the two quarterbacks out of Oklahoma.
They weren't there, right?
No, in fact, you probably couldn't even get odds on Kyler Murray.
Yes,
I mean, he would have been completely
exactly
off the board.
right.
So right away, first off, you don't want to bet on anything that's 1-3. I don't know that much about gambling, but I'm pretty sure that's a bad value. So you start looking at value bets here, and you look at the other two quarterbacks potentially. Should Jake Fromm have the same odds as Herbert?
Absolutely not.
I mean, that's
to
way
me,
off.
that one, yes, is way off. I don't look at Jake Fromm and even go, he's a first-round talent at this point. And, again, we were on the field when they played Georgia, and I know he was a freshman that year, so I'm not going to judge too critically. But I've watched Georgia a lot on college football Saturdays the past few years because they've been an awesome football team. Jake Fromm's been very good. At no point did I ever look at him and go, I wonder if this guy's a first-round talent. No way. So there, to me, is just a little thing that we might have to start is where I call unqualified people making qualified statements. And just because a team's winning doesn't mean it's all about the quarterback. That's where that shit gets started, too, that drives me crazy, too. Again, for the second time this week, Patrick Mahomes was 5-7 his last year at Texas Tech. He's now arguably the best quarterback in football. So it has nothing to do. It's not all about the quarterback every time. John Elway was 3-8 his last year at Stanford. Damn it, he's one of the best winning quarterbacks in the history of the sport. You got to have a team and coaching around you. And just because you do have a team and coaching around you and you're winning games doesn't mean you're the first pick of the draft, okay?
Well, that being said, are you as in love with Tua as a number one overall
I'm
pick
not.
Or as a franchise quarterback in the NFL as other people are?
No, I'm not. I'm not as in love with it as everybody else is. I'll be totally transparent with you here where I went into the draft process going, man, I don't even know if Tua was a first-round quarterback. I really did, just from things I saw on TV. But I will say after watching a lot of SEC film, because it seems like every guy in the SEC is NFL draft eligible, you see a lot of Alabama game film, and Tua was better than I gave him credit for TV scouting. He's a little bit bigger of a man than I give him credit for. He's a little bit better athlete than I gave him credit for. And his arm has a little bit more pop than I gave him credit for. So I will say that, yes, he is definitely a first-round talent for next year. He and Herbert are on another level to me than Jake Fromm.
Okay.
And I really think Herbert as a prospect is really a notch above Tua Tagovailoa Tua. I'm just going to say Tua. I can't get it out right.
Can you keep saying the whole
Tua Tagovailoa. No, Vailoa. I can't do it. Can you say it? Can you say it?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Shut up.
You just got to say it quickly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Nobody doubts you. But
yeah, just say it with conviction.
Conviction.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounded right. Let's go with it.
Listen, I think what's interesting here also, if you're just looking at the odds and you're looking at actually playing this, I mean, you go away from quarterbacks entirely. I mean, maybe you put someone on Herbert, but then after that, you go to position, right? You go defensive tackle and you go rush ends who are at 30 and 40 to 1, and then you hope that some team that gets the number one pick that doesn't want a quarterback and they go defense, and then you grab one of those guys.
That's right.
I mean, and the fact that Jerry Jeudy's up there at 31 is great. I think it's really nice, but no one's taking a wide receiver with the top overall. It's just not happening.
It's just not happening.
Yeah,
I mean, you kind of said it. When you talk about first-round picks, teams want that to be really two positions for the most part. They want it to be quarterback and defensive end or pass rusher that way. Something along those lines. D tackle at times they can live with. Left tackle they can live with. But you better be this extraordinary talent at D tackle or left tackle to be drafted at number 1. You better be, Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace.
Sure.
If you're not that guy, everyone's going to go, what the are you doing? You took a left tackle at number 1 pick. So, yeah, that's where I look at that. The rest of these guys, listen, I can't speak to some of the rest of these guys on this list, at least intelligently. I know the Chase Young guy at Ohio State.
Don't speak intelligently.
Well, yes, don't. You know me. I don't really ever speak intelligently. But he did pop to me on film to where I went, ooh, that's a guy that I think I'm going to be watching next year. And I really had no idea of who he was or the history around him. So, but I do think it comes down to quarterback and defense end, like you're saying.
Yeah, so we start talking about the potential for a number 1 overall draft pick, and we've seen QBs go last 2 years. We've seen Oklahoma QBs go the last 2 years, the top overall pick. Of course, you want to be in a position where you have a team that needs a quarterback, or you're Arizona and you feel like once again drafting a quarterback in the top 10. So give me teams in the mix you think potentially from this year could be there near the top of the draft board, could position themselves for a top overall pick, and with that pick, they will take a quarterback. Right.
Okay. If the wheels fall off with the Oakland Raiders, right? There's one team I look at and go, I think that if they go 4-12 again, there's no way John Gruden's going to stand pat with Derek Carr again. And especially a move into Vegas, it just makes too much sense. Get a quarterback, get the Vegas fan base started, start selling that on there. Okay, how about the Cincinnati Bengals? I think, they could be in that conversation. I know they drafted Ryan Finley in the 4th round this year, but, hey, this is a make it or prove it year for Andy Dalton. Even Mike Brown has come out and said that this is a pretty important year for him.
Young, offensive-minded coach.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he might want his new guy in there. So that certainly makes sense from that aspect. The Miami Dolphins. Hey, they got the 1-year trial period with Josh Rosen. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and go, oh, we think the Dolphins are going to be really good. They are in a rebuilding phase of their organization.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
And how unfair is that to Josh Rosen?
I know, that would be extremely.
At this point, because listen, how many times do we have to talk about the fact that this guy's had how many different coordinators and coaches and systems and
bad offensive lines
and it's not going to be much. It's not going to be a different year.
No, it won't be. At least he should have a good system to be a part of. Brian Flores, the head coach, he understands that it's more than just about the quarterback. He understands you got to have support around him, have smart game planning, them being from New England. Chad O'Shea, the ex-wide receiver coach in New England, who is now the OC there in Miami, he understands that as well. So they'll do their best. I do think he fits their scheme and system. So they're just a team, yes, if it all falls flat on their face, that I go, they could possibly be in that conversation. The Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yeah, have to be, right? Have to be.
I mean, the Bucks and the Tennessee Titans, I think we both could just lump them together.
Sure.
Yeah, they went 1-2 with Mariota and Winston. We get that. But here we are 5 years later, and they haven't been worth that up to this point. There's been flashes where we go, oh, there's the guy we were all rooting for. But again, I think if these teams don't make the playoffs, they're going to be back in the quarterback market and maybe tanking for Tua or, doing something for Herbert. I don't have a cool saying for that yet. Am I missing anybody else there?
I would say that if you're going to follow potentially the Arizona model, I don't think you should rule the Giants out. I don't think you should. I know we're on a 3-year.
That would be amazing.
We're on the 3-year crazy train plan.
Yes.
And we have to wait that long to find out. But at this point, if you're that bad, and things are awful, and you truly believe, and you can get the number 1 overall pick, and you truly believe that you have a guy who's going to be a superstar, how could you not? And more to the point, how can you sit there and sleep at night knowing that you're wasting potentially these years of Saquon Barkley?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. There's really not as big a risk to do that anymore, too, especially with, again, there's a rookie salary cap. Back in the old days, you couldn't have done this because you're going to draft a guy at number 6. It's a 6-year, $75 million contract, and you're screwed. He's your guy for the next 4 years. There's no way out of it. Now, hey, Josh Rosen's got like $10 million left on his full contract. It's just, you can swallow that. So if you make a mistake at quarterback in the top 10, and then all of a sudden you're bad and you're back to the number 1 pick, and let's just say Justin Herbert he won the Heisman, and the Giants have a grade on him higher than any quarterback they've had come out in the last 20 years. I'm not going to, and they've seen Daniel Jones for a year and go, okay, we messed up. We did. And we messed up. I'm not going to be mad at them, just like I wasn't mad at Arizona for making that decision, because you just don't want to pass up what you think might be a generational talent from time to time. I don't expect the Giants to have that type of DNA or do that type of decision. They're not that type of an organization, but we're just saying what ifs, and that's a what if.
Listen, I don't wish them to be unsuccessful, but I kind of want to see them in the position where the decision has to be made.
Right.
And I'd be so curious to see how they handle that. Listen, we have Tua, who's the overwhelming odds-on favorite to go number 1. Then it's the other 2 quarterbacks, but I want to throw someone in there, long shot, off the board, but potentially all legs and ass team.
I'm intrigued.
For Chris Simms.
Ooh.
Here he is, A.J. Dillon, Boston College running back.
When I watched Lindstrom, the guard that got drafted by Atlanta in the first round, I saw this kid. I know nothing about him, but I know he looked like a freak of nature on film. He really did. His body is rocked up. He looked the part. I wish I could tell you more about him as an evaluation and everything like that. But he looks like he's got a chance to be a special running back.
For those who can't see the picture,
yes.
Okay, paint a word picture of A.J. Dillon's legs as we see them right now, the running back for Boston College.
Oh, the picture is legs and arms and shoulders. You don't really need to know anything else in between. And it's a phenomenal. I mean, first of all, the guy's got his shorts rolled up. That's when you know you have legs. It looks
like his shorts are afraid of his legs.
They're right. They're like, I can't go over those quads. They're too thunderous. So we got to go up. But he's got not only thick quads and legs, but defined, like shredded and ripped. And then a pair of shoulders and biceps that are quite impressive as well. To me, hey, that's what I want my running back to look like. If you want to play running back in the NFL, it takes a special breed of a human being. You better have muscles that are like not muscle / steel to take the beating that you want to get. And you see that out of the top running backs. They're more times than not are built like that.
As I look at this picture, I also would say that if you are going to be one of these people who plays sports, be it recreationally or at a high level, and you have decided to roll up your shorts or your sleeves, your legs and arms better look like that, because there's always this guy who rolls up the shorts.
And you're going, you don't need to do that. Unless you're just trying to get a tan, we don't want to really see it.
Yeah, it's not working for any of us.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you couldn't do that. If you were like an NFL team and you were one of those guys you were talking about, or even a college team, you would get people would dog you all day long. Like, what are you doing rolling up your sleeves? Like, only guys that can do that don't look pretty are maybe some of the big uglies, the big offensive linemen who are just hot and sweaty all the time, and you understand them rolling up their sleeves.
And no one's going to say anything to those guys anyway.
No, they're not.
6'7", 317
Exactly right.
pounds.
You don't play with those guys.
All right, so we go from A.J. Dillon to A.J. Green. You had a chance to have a conversation with the Bengals wide receiver. Some interesting stuff here. Let's take a listen.
All right, we got a special guest today, a guy that I think is truly like under the radar as one of the best players in the NFL, okay? One of the best receivers out there. Doesn't really say a whole lot, not trying to get attention to himself a whole lot. I'm glad he's coming on the podcast, because these are the type of guys I like. I want to get to know A.J. Green. A.J. Green, damn, there he went, but there he's back again. Thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. How you doing? Everything good in your world?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm good.
No, no problem. You truly are kind of under the radar as an athlete, and I've kind of looked forward to kind of getting guys like you out there in the media world, so people can get to know you. Do you ever get frustrated with the fact that the Odell Beckham Juniors of the world, the Antonio Browns of the world, always seem to get all the headlines at the wide receiver position?
Not really. I just, I love playing the game of football, and that's what I'm here to do. I don't really care about all the media stuff. I just go out each and every day, try to be the best football player I can be, to be the best guy I can be, and be the best father I can be. So I really don't care about anything else.
Yeah, and you come off that way. Okay, so the first thing too, before we get into some of my questions, I want you to talk about what you're doing here today. Shamrock Farms Rockin' Protein Shake. I'm down to try it. I really will now that I know you're pushing it, because I do drink my protein shakes. You see that right there? Don't be scared.
I can see that. Yeah. Now I've been working with Rockin' Protein for a while now, and it's an unbelievable drink. It's made out of real milk. It don't give you that chalky feel, like a lot of other protein drinks give you that chalky feel, or that full feeling when you drink it. So you really can't eat lunch or your dinner. But this is the best, the smoothest protein drink out, man. And I love it. I love it.
Are you like a chocolate guy, a vanilla guy?
I'm a chocolate guy. A chocolate guy, but with them, you can't go wrong with any flavor. It's all good.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah. I'm gonna try this out for real. I always do. Yeah. I'm still drinking protein shakes. Like I got something to prepare for. Like I wash my breakfast down in the morning with a protein shake. So I might substitute this. Are you a protein shake drinker throughout the day, or are you just one like post-workout kind of guy?
I'm like throughout the day, because I try to stay on like a strict diet. So like in the middle of the night, I get pretty hungry, so that's for me not going to get a Reese's. I get a Rockin' Protein to get me through the night.
Yeah, I hear that. Are you the kind of guy that's got to kind of like watch how much calories you get into your body? Will you lose weight if you go too long without eating and things like that?
Not really. I got a real high metabolism, so it really doesn't matter what I eat.
Right.
But now I'm getting up on age a little bit, so I got to watch what I eat at a certain hour. So that's where the Rockin' Protein comes in, perfect for me.
Yeah, you're 30, and that means you're an old man in the NFL, but you're still a baller. All right, this is what I want to ask you. I really do. I want to get to know you, okay? And nobody knows you out there. Tell me what's your favorite food? What's your go-to meal if you had one meal?
My go-to meal is a hot dog. I love hot dog.
Okay, and we like ketchup or mustard on there? What are we doing? Anything on top of it?
Everything. Ketchup, mustard, onions, a little bit of crab meat, it's some crazy stuff that I can put on my hot dog. So.
Okay, I like that. Okay, what's your favorite color? I'd like to know that.
Blue.
Okay. Well, who's your favorite rapper, or what kind of music do you listen to? And then who is your favorite? Yeah, go ahead.
I listen to everybody, but Drake, Future, Little Baby. All Atlanta rappers, because I live in Atlanta, so I always support the home team. So
yeah, okay. I had a feeling you might go that route. Okay. After that, favorite candy. I mean, you might have mentioned it. You're a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup guy.
I'm a Reese's Cup That's all I used to eat. That back in college was a Reese's and a Mountain Dew every day.
Damn, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I like to get on the back porch, as my podcast listeners know, and I smoke a few daddy cigars every now and then. And when I find the peanut butter cups, damn, they're delicious.
Right.
Okay. 18. I've always wondered this. Where the hell did 18 come from? Why do you wear this number?
The crazy thing for me, I started with 84 because of Randy Moss in my freshman year, and then I changed the 1 my sophomore year in high school. So throughout my high school year, I was 1, and then Georgia, I got number 8 because that's like the only number that was available at that time. So I just put those two together in like 18. So that's how I got it.
Okay. All right. I'll buy that. I'll buy that answer. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Next thing I want to know. You said Randy Moss. I always like to ask players this. I want to know, 1, who are the 2 or 3 receivers you look at football and just go, wow, I respect his game, or that guy's in my class. And 2, I always want to know, give me the DBs that you've played against where you go, damn, that guy's a pain in the butt, and I know I got to bring my lunch pail on that day.
Oh, the top receivers I love to watch is, Julio. coming out with Julio, we always was compared together, and we worked out together, and that guy is unbelievable. AB, Odell.
Right.
D Hop is another guy that I look at. It's a lot of guys, man, and I think one of the most underrated guys, coming in is I love Stephon Diggs, the way he, prepares, and his savviness out there on the field. So.
Right. Well, that's a good group of names. Really, I mean, I think that's the class of guys you're in. You're one of the 3, 4, 5 best receivers in football. Nobody knows about. Okay, you down DBs. Did you deliberately avoid my DB conversation? You just don't like talking about? Who is the DB that, has jumped out to you throughout your whole career that was just your toughest matchup?
It's always, Patrick Peterson. I feel like he's, a lot of people, just overlook him now because we're getting up there. But Pat Peace is always a tough challenge. Guys like, even though we had that big thing with Jalen, I believe he's an unbelievable corner. Chris Harris, another underrated guy. Joe Hayden. And I think, who else? I think that's it. That's my top right there.
Okay, you're missing one guy, okay, and I'm glad you're missing this guy because this is the next thing I want to ask you about. Because you're so calm and you don't ever look for attention. But there was just this one day where A.J. Green was running on the field and he chokeslammed some DB out in the middle of the field. Jalen Ramsay, that's where I wanted to hear that name. Just what happened that day? Because that was so unlike you. Not to say I disliked it. I understand you wanted to body slam Jalen Ramsay during a game and how much he talks. But what was he saying and what kind of finally pushed you over the edge to kind of lose your temper there?
It's really not it wasn't what he was saying, man. It was just, I guess it was just a hot day in Jacksonville. I'll leave that at that. Like I said, man, I was just out there. We both competitors. And like I said, it's just a hot day. You know how the weather is out there in Jacksonville. When you get the temperatures rising and it's a little hot out there. He's not thinking very clearly.
Sure. I'll buy that answer, AJ Green. I played in Tampa. I never got hot enough to where I wanted to body slam anybody. I'm just gonna let you know.
You don't have a helmet on. You don't have a helmet on pads on.
So I'll let that one slide right now because I like you a whole lot. Okay. Other thing I just want to ask you about. Last year you had to deal with a toe injury. I think when a lot of people hear toe injuries, especially the common fan, they're like, "What the hell? How is this guy hurt?"
Exactly.
I know it's a brutal injury. Talk about the injury and just how you feel right now.
The crazy thing, it happened back in like 2014. I had, a partial and then it healed. And, I went through like 4 years without a problem. And then you come that Tampa game, I was running like a slant route. Foot got stuck in the ground and the guy came down on the back of my heel. And, I felt something. And I'm like, all right, it'll go away. And then we had a bye week, so I was thinking I'll be fine. And come to find out, I tore a little ligament in my toe. But right now I feel good, man. I feel, I'm back running routes and it feels good. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100%. When you run routes, you don't feel anything cutting off that toe or anything now?
Yeah, I'm fine. So.
All right, and I know you're back in the swing of things, and it must be, is it not weird for the first time in your career not having Marvin Lewis at the head of the room and the podium addressing the football team?
Yeah, it's a little different, when you get it so used to, certain people around the building every day that you see. It's a little different, but I tell you one thing about Zach, he brings a whole different energy into the building. The guy's only like 35, 36 years old, so the whole staff is, around that same age, and you can feel the energy, the high energy. Everybody's always smiling. It's always good vibes. Playing music at practice. You got in the locker room. We got the music blasting, which Coach Lewis really didn't like, but Zach is all for it. On the road games, he want a big boom box in there. He would change all the lights in the stadium to bright lights to like no bad vibes in the meeting room. So it's a different energy. It's definitely I'm looking forward to that big offensive mind coach that we're gonna have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, one, it pays to have a young coach who can, deal with the loud music, so that always helps. But two, that's the other aspect I wanted to ask you about. Just, can you tell a different demeanor within the building because it is an offensive head coach? Does there seem to be more focus on that side of the ball?
Of course. Playing with Coach Lewis is all about defense. You don't show up the defense at practice, but Zach is like, hey, OTA 1, we're going to kick the defense butt. And that's what we like to hear, man. I love the way he teaches. He's not yelling at you. He's teaching you every little detail and having you understand why we run it this way and why this concept is this way. So it's unbelievable how smart he is and how he's so attention to detail.
Right. I mean, I know I've been around him a little bit. He was actually down in Tampa when I was the starting quarterback there, and he was a backup. And I knew like that guy one day was going to be a coach in the NFL. I could tell right then he's got that kind of mentality.
He's unbelievable.
All right, here's one other thing, and I don't mean to bring up anything bad. I brought up all the bad, but I do think this is a topic worth talking about. You know, your last year in college, okay? And I saw you your last year in college. My brother was the quarterback for the University of Tennessee, and you caught a touchdown pass, and I said, oh, gosh, this kid's the real deal. But you were suspended for the first 4 games of that year. And this is a pretty hot topic right now. You sold your jersey. Whoa, how dare you sell your jersey with your name and number on it, and you got $1,000. Whoop-de-do, okay? But where do you lie? And tell people about maybe college athletes and the fact that you don't have as much money and maybe the struggles you got to go through and just where your whole mind kind of lays on that whole subject altogether.
For me, it's just if a rule is set in place, I feel like it's meant to be followed. We understand that we're athletes and we, can't get jobs, but the NCAA has set rules, and then we just have to abide by them. But, I don't have to agree with them, or you don't have to agree with them, but you have to abide. And I didn't abide by the rules, and I accept my punishment of my 4 games, and, I admit to selling my jersey. But, me, you can't be like, oh, I don't believe in it or whatever. It's the rules are already set, so you have to abide by it. Don't mean that you don't have to agree with the rules, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, so but you say that's the way it is, but and this will be my last question because I know you got other things to do today than talk to me. But the rules are, and I respect you because you are a rule follower and you do respect the rules, but at the same time, when you were in college, did you need a little extra money in your pocket? Did you find yourself maybe hungry at times? Like, tell maybe part of the struggle of being a student athlete when you come from nothing or don't come from a house that has a ton of money in the bank or anything like that.
Yeah, it's always tough. When you anybody in college, man, even till the regular student, when you have all those student loans, same for athlete. Like I said, I was fortunate to have both of my parents, but we still didn't have a lot of money. So some weeks I ate ramen noodles all week. But I understand that, is a rule, but I can't get money from anywhere else. But it's tough. But I feel like they're doing a better job with athletes coming up now to where you can have money to provide or eat whatever you want. You have to go hungry for weeks and weeks. Now I feel like we're doing the NCAA is doing a better job to try to understand from a student athlete's perspective to where we need money to actually live because we can't get jobs like a regular student. So
Yeah, no, I hear that, and you're right. It does seem like the NCAA is trying to take the better steps forward in fixing some of those issues. All right, man, I know you got a lot of people to talk to. Remember, I'm going to try this out. Shamrock Farms, Rockin' Protein Shake. Going to do it for sure. I hope to meet you and talk to you in person one day. I've gotten to see you, but I've never really got to talk to you and say hi to you. I've been to some practices on a Friday in Cincinnati when I was announcing a few games. You're awesome, dude. You really are. You're one of the best receivers in football, and I respect your attitude and the way you approach things all the time. True professional, and good luck with everything, bro.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
Be good.
I want to find out more about this this hot dog with everything, and what else was on it?
Crab? What? Crab? I mean, I should have really pushed that more. I was so astounded by the answer that I should have said something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a plain hot dog guy. Like maybe mustard and a little ketchup on it. That's about all I want. Or I might just do a thin line of barbecue sauce and call it a day.
But crab? I've never even heard that.
Pig and crab together, 2 bottom feeders
I don't
together?
know. Maybe it's fantastic.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big enough of a seafood lover to throw crab on top of my pig, so that's not happening.
Barbecue sauce just alone?
Yeah.
Really?
That's right.
Really?
Barbecue sauce is great with everything. I almost dip anything in barbecue sauce, like almost anything.
You put American cheese on a hot dog? Would you ever do that?
No.
Oh, you know what you do? Yeah. Slice that hot dog right down the middle.
Right.
Take a little piece of American cheese. You break it up into little strips.
Yeah.
Put it right there. It melts in between.
Right.
Delicious.
Bellissimo.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm throwing crab on top of that, but it's pretty good on its own.
Yeah, and then cheese is not always my favorite thing either, so I'm not doing that either.
All right.
Yeah, sorry. Deal with it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. You can take that.
But I
you
can
take
go to
that
town
recommendation
on
with all the
hot
book and
dogs.
movie recommendations I've been giving you that you're not gonna.
No, not even gonna bat an eye
anyway,
at.
so.
Is barbecue on the barbecue sauce on a thing that gets barbecued that crazy?
I don't think it's crazy.
Right.
Different.
Okay.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. You're breaking ground here.
Thank you.
All right. I'm curious. You know what? Maybe you could try it out at the next Bills tailgate because things are changing for the Buffalo Bills. Tailgate news. Tailgate Village.
Tailgate Village.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, tell me about this.
In order to potentially curb bad fan behavior, this is from the Buffalo News. They announced a new policy that requires fans who arrive in buses to purchase a tailgating package along with their parking pass. 20-person vehicle, $300. 600 for a 40-person vehicle, 900 for a 60-person vehicle. My God, that's a massive vehicle. We're talking about all buses, tailgates. This Tailgate Village has room for 4,000 fans. Basically, I think the idea is they would like to cut down on the amount of people that are throwing themselves from
the top of
buses,
their bus,
right through tables that potentially may or may not be set on fire at that time.
They decided to put all these so-called delinquents in the same area now, and they think that's going to make things better. Hey,
well, all
the drunken people that jump off the vans, we're going to put you in the same area.
The price is, I think they're trying to potentially price out some of these people out.
You're exactly right.
But I do think there is sort of yes, we are kind of roping off an area
of craziness
filled with jackets.
If you pay enough money here, you can do whatever you want.
I do think there's something to be said about the fact that there's. Listen, I think you go to a Bills game, you know you're going to expect like a certain level of insanity and craziness.
Yes.
That's just what it's come to be known for.
It is. I enjoy a good viral video from the Buffalo fans tailgating almost on a weekly basis. Really, it seems like. Have you really ever got to tailgate? That's like one area of life I've only got to do a few times in my life for like a football game. College. When I would come back home, you have your winter break, the bowl game's over. A few years the Giants were in the playoffs, and I would come home and go to a few tailgates. And, man, I had a blast. I mean, just drinking beers and eating burgers and hot dogs and then going into the game.
And then did you throw yourself onto a table?
No, I never did any of that. But I was a crazy fan once I got in the stadium. I mean, that is a blast. I've always kind of wanted to do that further, but I always work on Sunday.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard.
Exactly. No, right. I feel like I missed out on most of that experience. Yeah, and I didn't go to a big college football. So I went to Buffalo. I went to, I think, one football game in 4 years. And then I watched other teams play on Saturdays on TV.
Right.
And I did go to a West Virginia game.
Right.
And as Mike Florio, I'm sure, can tell us, that is a wild tailgate scene as well for West Virginia games. So that was like eye-opening for me.
There's a few good ones.
Yeah, like to see what went on at big-time colleges for tailgates. And now, obviously, we work in it, so you get like a little look at it, but you're not involved in it. I don't know. Listen, there's something about, I understand the idea of like curbing things so people don't get hurt, and so you're not frightening certain members of the fan base. But there's something about, like, the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo because it is a scene there, man.
They love their football.
Nuts.
It's the number one thing in town. Yeah, they're going to get live and get that stadium rowdy. I understand that. And that's what they should do. I mean, as a player, when you were going on buses through rowdy tailgates, you knew the game was going to reach another level of, emotions and things like that. I mean, the first tailgate I'll always think of, when I think of tailgates that come to my mind, the Texas OU game that goes on there in Dallas. We meet halfway in between University of Texas and Oklahoma, and that is it's the State Fair of Texas going on.
Everything's fried.
It's crazy.
People are outside. It's hot still at that point. People are out drinking.
You're right. They're hot. They're out drinking. You will literally see fans who are like reading the Bible 1 minute and they're 75 years old and they close it and it's like the Texas they're OU fans and the Texas bus comes by and they close the Bible and they're giving you like the middle finger and yelling 4-letter words at you like no end. I always found that to be amazing. Just the reactions we'd get there. Man, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Kansas City, I always wanted to just get off the bus and go, damn, just let me eat a half rack of ribs before we go into the locker room here and I'll be good to go. And the Oakland Raiders, that's another one that always jumped out to me. Oakland, come on.
You know what? But you're
going to have some fun there. Sure.
That's also one of those places where you roll up on the bus. And Tony Dungy has spoken about this too, where it's one of the few places he's gone and like you're a little afraid.
You definitely are a little. You get a
It's
full
not just like,
cast of
whoa,
characters.
look at this. It's kind of like, oh, whoa.
There's everything.
What's that? Like, yeah, your first couple times walking in there, you're like, oh my God.
And you don't know who you're talking to, if it's a gangster or a doctor that's dressed like a gangster or a gangster that's dressed like the doctor. It's crazy in Oakland.
You didn't like unwritten rules for baseball. I feel like you don't like unwritten rules for tailgating. Of course, that's within reason. There should be some written rules.
Some written rules. We don't want
so
people dying.
Exactly.
Right.
We don't want people basically being scarred for life because they saw something at a game.
Let's not do that.
Never want to go back.
Right.
All right. There's a crazy party happening this weekend. It's on NBC. It's the Kentucky Derby. All-day party leading up to the big race. It's Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. That's when things get started. Von Miller's going to be there. He's a lifestyle correspondent.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. There's going to be plenty of people from the world of sports. Lots of NFL people go to this. All right, so
I love this event.
It's awesome.
It's really kind of like a kickoff to spring almost.
It does feel that way, and it's a bit of like a red carpet event.
Right.
It's a party scene. It's got some gambling. It's got some sports. There's so much going on.
Yep.
If you could hang with one group of people that are going to this, we have the Brady Bunch. Looks like that weekend down there: Edelman, Amendola, Garoppolo, Hoyer, Castle. A lot of quarterback there.
A lot of ex-quarterbacks and receivers, right?
Brissett involved in that. Or there's a Packers group that is A-Rod, Jimmy Graham, Devontae Adams, Cobb's on there, A.J. Hawk's on that list, Lindsley's on that list. Here's the thing. Which group would you hang out with? Because it's one thing to, like, roll as a celebrity. I'm just curious. One group I feel like you can build your brand with pretty well. Is one group more fun to hang out with, though?
I feel like the New England crowd is more fun to hang out with. Yes, I do. Just knowing that group a little bit. Okay, I mean, Brady, hey, he's cool, calm, Tom Brady, but like a very cool guy in general. I really like Tom a lot. Now, he probably doesn't like me because I do think he took the air out of the football, so Deflategate, so that becomes an issue.
Well, that's going to be awkward.
It is going to be awkward. But everybody else, I mean, come on. Jeremy Garoppolo went on a date with a porn star, okay? Amendola, Edelman, they all like to have fun. The Packer group is a good group of guys, but I don't think it's fun in a way.
Well, first off, I feel like, I mean, not that Brady isn't, but I feel like Rodgers is going to be guarded. The guard's up. Yeah, for the Packers, right?
What do you mean?
Well, don't you think he's a guy who's just going to have his guard up? Maybe you're not going to have as much fun.
Maybe, definitely.
Exactly. Not that Brady isn't, but, like, I just think,
Yeah,
this is a big part of it, though. Like, do you want to be seen on TV, or do you want to have fun?
To me, it is a no-brainer. New England, I would rather hang out with the New England crowd. Okay. I really would. I think they're going to be more fun in all aspects. I'll tell you the one thing that bothers me a little bit about the New England crowd is Julian Edelman. I'm sorry. I am not down with PED use. I am not. That really bothers me, okay? When people cheat and try to gain,
cross him right off the list.
I know. It's a shame, too, because he's cool and fun, but I do look differently about him now because of that incident. And, when they ask you, what happened with the PED test and your answer is, I don't know, that's a pretty big, you might as well just say, I did something illegal and I got caught. That's what you just should say. And to me, that's just a bad example for young kids.
You could just say, I don't recall.
Or whatever you want to say.
Well in all
but that just bothers me. So that to me is where I almost want to go, damn, I'd rather hang out with Green Bay because of that case. But I know that the New England guys are going to have more fun.
Better question.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with a bunch of quarterbacks, or would you rather hang out with a bunch of offensive linemen?
Quarterbacks are cooler than you're giving them credit for.
I guess so. Because, listen, I've seen offensive
linemen. You've seen me, and you think I'm real damn cool.
No, but I would also say, like, I've seen the offensive linemen in different places. I've been to Nashville for a Stanley Cup final when all the Tennessee Titans are up there.
That's a good group there.
That group right there looks like that's just a part of their night. What they're doing there. I want to find out what they were doing before, what they're doing after. That looks like a group you want to hang out with.
If you get a rowdy group of O-linemen, it's great. The problem with O-linemen as a full scope is you can also get a group that is, very intellectual.
That's true,
and going to be, like, kind of reserved, and we don't act like this, and, whoa, that's too much money for a beer or a drink, because offensive linemen are the cheapest guys on the football team, without a doubt.
Wow.
They're very smart, they're thrifty, and they're all about saving their money.
I would also say, for me, it would be a tough night because I'm 170 pounds, and I need a nap after dinner. if I'm hanging out with these guys the way they eat.
Yes.
And they're crushing.
Go
they're
tequila.
crushing beers.
You have to go tequila to stay up.
Yeah,
stay positive.
yeah, that's what I need to do, just to keep it going.
Keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are crushing beers like they're nothing because to them
it is nothing.
It is nothing.
Yes.
So could be rough experience.
Definitely be rough, and they would peer pressure you to drink
and I want them
beer.
to buy this stuff. I don't want to be paying for this.
No,
right
they
away,
would try to get you to pay for sure. They're the worst, the absolute worst. And that's it. Oh, you know another thing, sporting event I just want to give a little love to? Canelo Alvarez fights Daniel Jacobs.
Yep, Dan Jacobs, sure.
Dan Jacobs is my buddy. Okay.
I love Dan Jacobs.
I love him too. He's a New York guy. We all know his story.
I worked with him a little bit when we did boxing coverage. Yeah. Love him. Yeah.
Great guy. Overcame spinal cancer, okay? And now he's one of the best middleweights in the world. He's fighting Canelo Alvarez Saturday night. I'm rooting for him in a big way.
I'm on his side.
Yes.
I'm on your side 100%.
And Canelo Alvarez, he tested dirty for his last fight. And
go
got
Danny
PEDs.
Jacobs.
So go Daniel Jacobs. Go USA.
All right. Done.
All right, that's it.
This is where you're going to crush it right now.
You know it. Here I go.
Yes.
Mr. Sports Anchor, Chris Simms. Thanks for everybody listening today. If you watched, hey, we appreciate it. If you want to watch, youtube.com/NBC Sports. You know where to get at me. Liam, you the man. I always appreciate you coming on. I know you got a busy day. You got hockey tonight?
You know it's
full day of work.
That's right. Doubleheader coming up.
Liam McHugh. But everybody have a good weekend. Have fun watching the boxing, the horse racing, baseball, whatever it may be. Peace out. Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.